Hey, what's going on, Your Charisma team? Nathan Olson here from YourCharisma.com, helping you create your brand your way. On this channel, we do a lot of social media marketing help as well as Instagram tips, so if you have not already subscribed, please subscribe. Today, we're going to be talking about macro versus micro influencers, how you can use both to scale your business and which is the best for your business. Stay tuned. So when it comes to influencers on either Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, really any social influencer, there's two classifications. There's a micro influencer and there's a macro influencer. A macro influencer is someone typically of the celebrity status. They've garnered a ton of attention on the platform and they typically have millions and millions of followers. A great example of someone like this is PewDiePie on YouTube. He has over 82 million, almost I think 83 million followers. Subscribers rather on his YouTube, and the way he's been able to do that is by originally posting funny video game commentary that was specifically made for individuals in the range of 21 and under, and over time he's done a lot to increase his influence as well as increase his audience. He's done some incredible collaborations as well as also published a book and did some book signings and other stuff like that, but he generates around 10 to 15 million views per video. Again, around 83 million subscribers. He is an absolute YouTube beast when it comes to becoming a YouTube influencer. Another great example of a macro influencer, the king or the queen of Instagram herself. She's already a celebrity outside of the world, but Kylie Jenner garners a ton of absolute crazy amounts of likes as well as shares and comments. But the problem with macro influencers, guys, is that macro influencers are just so big that they just don't have the time to dedicate to their following as much as they should. Typically they're very content driven and a lot of it's just for their own personal, they create content specifically for their following, but they don't have the time or energy to go and actually communicate with that following beyond that content. And that's where micro influencers come in. And micro influencers are like the local heroes of a particular niche. These are typically people that have, I would say, there's no general specification, but I would say under 500,000 followers is typically considered a micro influencer in all of Instagram, just because there are so many large accounts. But what that means is that micro influencers definitely have a significantly higher engagement rate. I think PewDiePie, he's got about a 1/8. He's not someone to compare to specifically, but a lot of macro influencers have around a 6 to 7% or lower engagement rate, while micro influencers typically have a 9% or higher engagement rate, and that's something that we can see across a lot of micro influencers. I know specifically around the 20 to 50K range, micro influencers that have a very good standing with their community can generate around 2 to 5,000 likes per post, and that's around a 10% engagement rate on their post. And that's something that is incredibly powerful because engagement is not only is their following there, but it's also engaged, so you know that the traffic is a little bit more quality and there's probably going to be more traffic generated from those micro influencers, just specifically because there's more active engagement on their content. And we can also see that micro influencers want to be macro influencers, so they're dedicating a lot of time and energy specifically to their following, just to increase it and to have goodwill within the community itself. And what that means is that they're responding to comments, they're responding to direct messages, they're actually engaging with their followers' comments and posts and other things of that nature, just to showcase, to reciprocate some of the love that they've generated over the time. And that's something that is absolutely extremely powerful. More businesses and brands wish that they could do more like this, and that's why customer service is actually a part of just about every business that you'll go to, because they want the customer to feel as if they're 100% taken care of, and that's something micro influencers do a really good job of doing. They actually go through and take the time, do thoughtful conversations, and that's something macro influencers just specifically don't have the time to do. It's probably feasible, but it's not genuine because you'd have to hire a team. For an individual, let's say for Kylie Jenner, who gets around 10, 20, 30,000 comments on her specific posts. Going through and replying to all those, you can only imagine the amount of direct messages she also gets on a daily basis. And that's just something that's incredibly difficult to keep up with, specifically just scanning. And each person, if you're getting into a good conversation, maybe 1 to 2 minutes, 3 minutes, multiply that by about 3,000 and your whole day's gone. But that's, beyond that, that's what makes micro influencers extremely powerful. Macro influencers do generate an enormous amount of commercial viral ability, and what I mean by that is it's like posting your ad to the Super Bowl with a lot of these influencers. There's so much social reach that's generated from each of their posts that your brand and your product could have a wide range across a vast variety of niches, because there's also a lot of shares that are incorporated into that. So your content does get spread on a huge volume style kind of marketing approach, but that's going to cost you, upwards of $1 to $2, $3, $4, $5,000 just for a single post. That's only going to last 24 hours. There's no guaranteed ROI, and it's going with macro influencers is something that big companies can afford to do, and they have the relationship and branding already established that they can kind of swing around and probably get better deals, as well as lock in longer contracts and create a stronger branding sense around the actual influencer. This is why a lot of macro influencers specifically get picked up by bigger brands, and that's just kind of the overall cyclical cycle that it goes. But what you need to pay attention to as smaller businesses that are just starting out, or that want to use their money a little bit more effectively and create a little bit more niche targeted audiences, as well as niche targeted followings, which means higher quality leads. That's specifically going to be done through micro influencers. And as we've talked, micro influencers can be extremely sub niche. So for example, in the fitness niche, there could be bodybuilding, and then within bodybuilding you could have, let's say, like powerlifting and bodybuilding, and those are two different sub niches. But then you can go further into that, and you can find an influencer within that extremely targeted niche that's probably 3 or 4 or 5 subcategories down, who has 20 to 30,000 followers, who's getting around 2 to 3,000 likes, 50 comments, and probably 10 to 20 direct messages every day. That is someone that you could probably pay around $5 to $10 for a post, generating around 60 to 70 link clicks or even possibly purchases from that. And that's, that in comparison, you're getting a vastly higher ROI for every dollar spent, and you're actually spending less. So what I like to do, specifically because I specialize in startups, what I love to do is to use micro influencers to create a team and then do a content overload, so I can get the same volume of a macro influencer, but I'm getting different pieces of content as well as different sub niches and different influencers to post. So that really allows for a full, deep, dilution of content throughout the social platform. And I'm paying each Instagram influencer probably around the same amount, maybe $5 to $10, and I'll probably get 10, 20, 30 different Instagram influencers, spending a total of maybe $300, but reaching at the end, a couple 500,000, almost 1 million people, and then the overall ROI from that is absolutely incredible. I implore you guys to please just take the time to go through and start finding micro and macro influencers and create a list. And what I want you to do is create that list, monitor their followings, monitor them on a weekly basis, just checking their overall content and how they reply. You could easily get a virtual assistant to do this. This isn't something that's incredibly difficult, but it's just going to require a little bit of time every day, maybe 30 minutes to just go through and scroll through their feed. But what I want you to do is to come up with a rating system and maybe just rate them from 1 to 5 on front end appearance, and then after that week, after you've been exposed to their content for a week, this is the overall feel that you get. Just rate it 1 to 5 in comparison on how that relates to your brand, and then beyond that, take 3 and above. So your rating is 3 and above for these influencers who have a front end appearance that is most closely associated with your brand. What you're gonna want to do then is send those influencers a direct message to get pricing estimates for how much it costs per post, and you can also get Instagram analytic information from their backend, from their Instagram dashboard. And what I want you to do then is to do the same rating system, except this time for pricing. That way you can really whittle it down to the best micro influencers for you. And I want you to have at least like 5 or 6 on a list that you can call at any time to just post a promotion for you. You know, use their URL link, go into their story, use them as much as you can, because they're extremely powerful and they can allow you to generate an extremely high ROI off of very few dollars spent. It's a very smart and wise investment. Influencer marketing is going to continue to be a major pathway that's going to start developing, and as bigger brands start coming into and kind of eating up all the smaller brands and taking all these influencers and making them brand sponsored influencers and sponsees, you're going to see less influencers and you're going to see higher influencer rates. So just be prepared for that and take advantage of the low priced attention right now. That's going to wrap up this video, guys. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed. Make sure to stay tuned for the next one.